When it comes to air travel, you either go with a budget airline or a standard one. Budget airlines take us from one place to another without the luxury of traditional airlines. Yet they've remained a profitable business for decades. In today's video, we'll look at what budget airlines are doing differently and how they stay profitable despite having some of the cheapest tickets on the market. Towards the end, we'll discuss one of the industry secrets these airlines use to cut costs. So make sure you watch to the end. Running an airline is one of the most expensive businesses in the world. The operational cost of running an airline runs into hundreds of millions of dollars. An aircraft alone costs anywhere from $10 to $50 million. In addition, fuel costs are often high but hard to calculate because of the ever-changing prices. Usually, only big companies run airlines, and there was once a time when air travel was seen as a luxury only the rich could afford. However, since the 1980s, a new commercial airline business has opened up: budget airlines. The concept behind budget airlines is simple: traveling on a budget. These airlines have significantly cheaper ticket prices. Budget airlines help to move air travel from a luxury to a comfort everyday people can afford. All this begs the question: how do budget airlines make money? You see, big established airlines have more expensive tickets, which give them higher revenue, but budget airlines have to find a way to compete despite their cheaper tickets. For that, budget airlines rely on cost cutting, so these airlines look for ways to cut the cost of their operations to make it more affordable to run flights with less expensive tickets. Airlines in general have had to become more creative to boost ticket sales and revenue after the impact of COVID on the global aviation industry. COVID forced many countries to go on lockdowns, which also affected air travel significantly. However, many airlines have remained profitable. Even budget carriers like Southwest Airlines and Ryanair have become profitable despite having cheaper seats. Using cheaper planes. There are different methods of cost-cutting budget airlines use to stay profitable. The first and most obvious is using cheaper planes. Many budget airlines buy used and refurbished planes instead of new ones. As we said earlier, the cost of an aircraft is one of the most significant expenses incurred when running an airline. Many airlines go into debt or rent planes to keep their operations running. Budget airlines tends to go for used planes because they are cheaper to maintain and acquire. There was a time when people feared budget airlines because they felt that such airlines resorted to substandard planes that did not meet safety requirements. These fears persisted in the earliest days of budget airlines, and some of that concern was valid. But as the industry for budget airlines matured and became more stable, these fears diminished. Many airlines became stable enough to buy quality planes that met all safety requirements. This new era for budget airlines coincided with the early 2000s, but relying on cheaper planes is not enough. Ancillary services. Budget carriers need to find other ways to make money, one of which is ancillary fees. These fees refer to other sources of non-ticket revenue, i.e., money from sales of other products or services. In 2019, airlines made $110 billion from ancillary services. Unfortunately, that figure dropped to $102.8 billion in 2022, thanks to the effects of COVID lockdowns on international travel. Traditional airlines primarily rely on ticket prices for revenue, while budget airlines turn to ancillary fees since they offer low-cost tickets. The most common ancillary services include food, luggage, and the internet. Budget airlines also raise money from ticket changes. In most standard airlines, once you buy your ticket, it comes with food, luggage space, and the internet. However, this is one area where budget airlines must do things differently. Don't get me wrong, traditional airlines also generate ancillary fees. However, most of their revenue is expected to come from ticket prices, so the ancillary services are usually cheaper than what you'll find on a budget airline. When it comes to ancillary fees, the king of all airlines is Ryanair, one of the most famous budget airlines. because its tickets are among the cheapest in the aviation industry. Ryanair generates most of its revenues from its ancillary services, which are almost second to none. Some services Ryanair uses to raise money include allowing customers to pay to choose their seats, with seat prices ranging from $8 to $33. Another ancillary service Ryanair offers is priority boarding, which is a genius move given that regular flight delays haunt most budget airlines. Priority boarding allows customers to pay extra money to book their flights earlier, a service that costs $7.16. The airline also offers travel insurance, which starts at $23.77. Use a single type of aircraft. Another method low-budget airlines use to cut costs is flying a single aircraft type. This sounds simple enough, but it's very effective. Flying a single aircraft means less money for spare parts. It also means the airline doesn't have to spend as much training pilots and engineers since all the airplanes are identical. One of the major costs of running an airline is the crew members. A pilot of 10 years makes a yearly salary of around $100,000. Aircraft engineers also make approximately $100,000 a year. Training them also costs a lot, so budget airlines cut costs by sticking to one type of plane. That way, their pilots are familiar with the entire fleet. Airlines that have several types of aircraft in their fleet need to hire extra pilots. Another benefit of using a single aircraft type is getting attractive bonuses and discounts from aircraft manufacturers like Boeing. Southwest Airlines, one of the most profitable budget carriers in America, has listed using the same type of plane as one of their cost-cutting strategies. Use low-cost airports. Another strategy is using low-cost airports. As you might know, some airports are more popular than others, and expectedly, the popular airports charge more as landing fees. So budget carriers choose to fly to smaller, less popular airports, which charge them less for parking space. So for example, budget airlines like Ryanair usually take passengers to London Stansted instead of Heathrow. Many times airlines will choose airports that lie between major cities. Increase seating capacity. Budget airlines also increase the number of seats. You might have noticed that budget airlines tend to have little legroom. That's intentional, making passengers uncomfortable but increasing the number of available seats. You see, the airline business is expensive. A standard plane costs $10 to $50 million, and airlines hate it when they don't sell all the seats on their aircraft because they only earn money when their plane is in the air. Budget airlines sell cheap tickets, so they must have as many people as safety regulations permit. As a result, many budget airlines offer a single type of seating system with no business class. Many also do not reserve seats, allowing passengers to sit wherever they want. Another benefit of not assigning seats is that they could easily switch to an aircraft with a different seating arrangement without extra delays or needing to print boarding passes. Sell tickets directly. One of the most active segments of the aviation sector is third-party booking services. Many airlines use third-party services to promote ticket sales. These third-party agents could be booking houses, credit card companies, and tourism websites. Third-party ticket sales cost airlines a significant ton of money for affiliate advertisements. Usually, established airlines have no problem paying for these affiliate services because they add the cost of the third-party marketing services into their ticket. Budget airlines can't do the same, since their main selling point is cheap airline tickets, so these companies must find another alternative. For many budget airlines, cutting costs involves ditching third-party booking agents. The commission paid to these agents is simply unaffordable to many budget carriers. Of course, this reduces their marketing reach, as many can only sell airline tickets on their website. However, budget airlines with a good reputation can ditch these third-party booking services because their reputation, among other marketing efforts, is enough to attract customers to their website. Less crew. Budget airlines also use fewer crew members to cut costs and increase profit. With a lesser crew, they have less staff to pay per trip. This saves significantly on the operational cost of keeping staff. Another benefit of a smaller crew is less weight for the aircraft, and less weight means the plane uses less fuel. As some might know, the plane's weight affects how much fuel it uses per trip. Therefore, less fuel used means they save on fuel costs, another major airline expense. The final benefit of cutting down on crew members is it allows the airline to fit more seats on the plane, which means more tickets per plane. Of course, crew cutting can go too far, and there have been occasions where a plane takes off with less than the recommended number of crew members, thus making the flight dangerous. However, standard budget airlines ensure they only reduce their crew without risking the flight's safety. Fuel hedging. The final strategy we will discuss is fuel hedging, a method used by almost all airlines but taken to the max by budget airlines. Fuel hedging involves buying fuel at an agreed price to be delivered later. This method works when the airline expects fuel prices to rise, so they buy at the current prices to cut costs. Fuel hedging is similar to a form of investing called futures contracts, where assets are paid for in advance. Fuel hedging effectively manages fuel costs, which is one of the most significant expenses in running an airline. For example, between 1991 and 2008, Southwest Airlines paid $3.5 billion below the industry price for fuel. No wonder Southwest Airlines is one of the most successful budget airlines in the world. Mind you, fuel hedging is not without risk. If the fuel price drops, the airline still has to pay the hedged fee. However, if the price rises, the airline benefits from the hedged price being lower than the market average. Running an airline is a risky and expensive business. Running a budget airline is even more difficult because of the nature of the aviation industry. Yet industry giants like Southwest Airlines and Ryanair have become huge successes thanks to their innovative approaches to cost cutting. Things like ancillary fees, fuel hedging, smaller crew members, and increased seating space have contributed to their financial success. So what's your experience with budget airlines? Have you used one before? And what was the experience like? Go ahead and tell us in the comments section below. And if you want to know how China is affecting the dollar, don't forget to watch this video. Thanks, and see you next time.